This entire scam. Hey! Are you gonna respond to clapping this? Hey! Oh, you're not responding to what's on you. Out! I've got 911, Sarah. I know the number. It's 911.
Sarah, go call it. Hey, stop. Right now.
I knew you'd do that.
Get out of my store now. Hey! Get out of my store now! Now! Thank you. Breaking all the signs down.
Enough is enough.
You have a weapon.
You're threatening me. I'm not threatening you. Get out.
I'll get him over, Linda.
Get him out.
Get them over here now.
Just call the police. Call them.
I'm sorry.
I will comply with the police.
Daniel.
Not you or you.
Daniel, stand back. You can watch it, Howard.
I'm not going to cut you, guys. I'm not here to cause violence. I'm here to liberate the people. Liberate the people.
Why don't you drop that knife, buddy?
Please, stay back. Yeah, I know, and that's what
He's
we're
gonna walk away from him now. So the guy's got a knife on.
I think you just gotta.
I know,
Put it
but
like
something
that.
could happen.
On security bylaws.
You cannot come into private property and do construction.
This is destruction. This is the anti-destruction.
Well, what?
You don't touch me.
I don't care.
Only the police.
This is a team.
You know this. You're not afraid of me.
I don't.
You're not
want you to
afraid.
touch me.
So step
Please.
up.
Please.
Put the stickers in the store.
Please leave the store.
You can say please, but they're not saying please to us from the World Health Organization.
The guy with the weapon.
They're not saying please as they rewrite our society. We need some pushback now, or there'll be pushback never. Okay? So we're not playing around anymore. We're scraping for truth. We're scraping for freedom.
Everybody, out of the store, please, or shut the doors. I don't want anybody in danger. Please, people.
Danger, except from.
Ma'am, please, I just don't want anybody. Sir, I asked you, please leave the store. Please leave the store. We're shutting the store down. Everybody, please leave the store. We're shutting it down.
What are these guys all got cameras or what?
Oh, that's what we do. We gotta record the. Everybody's recording right now.
Sarah, Linda, lock the doors. Hey, ma'am, I have to ask you again. We're locking
Okay.
the doors.
Yeah.
There's a danger to people in here. I know you guys are, I get it. But I don't want anybody in hurt.
Okay.
If it turns nutty, I'd just rather be careful.
Okay.
Okay, sir, please, we're shutting the doors. We're locking the store down.
Howard, can you lock that door?
Up here, ma'am. I'm so sorry, but you
No, it's okay. I'll just come back after.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Yeah, you're so brave. Why are you leaving? Shh. I'd kill
Thank
him.
you.
Nobody's gonna beat me up. Okay?
Let's get these mics off. My brother, what are you doing, man? And I want to know,
Hello.
first of all,
Yeah.
I did watch that when it came out. I don't think I watched it very carefully.
Right. It's been a crazy whirlwind for everyone in the world.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
There's a lot of content.
I should
to
probably
consume.
talk into my microphone.
Talking to your microphone.
Yeah.
Hello.
Is your heart racing when you're doing that?
I was actually pretty chill. I was
Yeah,
like,
your adrenaline's not pumping through you like crazy.
Well,
You're not like on a total like.
once they started rushing at me, it was a little bit more than I was expecting. But I was like in the zone. I had known what I was gonna do and then planned it out and then did it and had a couple friends there to film it, and then we released it and told the media, and then the media was like, "Oh, how dare you?" And then that went, mini viral, local viral, and then someone on Twitter picked it up, and then that went medium viral. So it was a medium viral sensation for a week. The first week being all insults, and the second week being all compliments.
And so, where's your heart at? Where are you coming from on this? Why this?
Yeah,
I mean, have you ever been activist on any level before?
Yeah, I'd say.
Okay.
for sure. My background is as I came to Niagara region from Toronto when I was 20 for college, and I took journalism. And I took journalism. I was motivated by an anti-war sentiment. It was 2004. The Iraq War was happening, and I felt informing people could sway their opinions about supporting things like war or so on and so forth. So that was my primary motivation, getting into journalism. And I got into reporting on the local music scene at the time, and got into marketing out of college. And 2008, 2009, there's been a lot of changes in our society. I didn't keep up with all of them. So I went west for a while, and I worked in Alberta in Banff and at a restaurant. And then I came back and forth here to Niagara, and one of my then friends and now girlfriend and baby mama.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that happened this spring. So, my partner Shelby gave birth to our son in April. And so obviously April, we were in a hospital and experiencing, we were in the middle of a locked down hospital and so on and so forth. So that was sort of like, you could say it's a bit, I don't want to say as if I'm special, but there is some sort of, the experience it sucked. It was a bit traumatic to have no access to our parents, everyone being afraid of seeing each other. We had a newborn and she had a C-section, and it was all, the usual. We moved to Niagara back from Alberta so she could give birth and be with our families. We could be near our families. And then because of COVID, access to our families was reduced down to very little. And so one evening, right after the baby was born, I went to Shoppers Drug Mart. This is my local Shoppers Drug Mart. I've been going to this particular Shoppers Drug Mart for years. So it's not like it was a random Shoppers Drug Mart I picked. It was the one that in April I went to, and I couldn't choose which cream. Shelby needed some nipple cream because the baby was making her nipples really raw. And so she's like, make sure you pick up some nipple cream. So I went through the whole rigmarole. It's a thing, apparently.
Okay.
I didn't.
No, I know. I just specific nipple cream, or is just any generic?
No, that's what.
Because I guess you need something that's
how
not
the hell am I
toxic to the
supposed to
baby.
know? I'm just a guy, and I'm a single guy. Like, I'm one dude in a store. Anyway, and usually what you do when you're in a store and you don't know what you need to do is you ask for help. But like, I went aisle after aisle. This is back in April, and there's no one there, and there's no support, and so I felt very. So this was on that evening. I had gone through and I had purchased a bunch of stuff, and then I left the store and I was like, oh, I forgot the nipple cream. So I went back, and then I couldn't find any help, and so then I went back and I was like, I remember looking at the stickers on the floor and just feeling very, very much like the new normal, which we've all somehow accepted by now. Mm-hmm. But this was April. I
hate that term, but
no, I mean, I remember that term since 9/11. So when I heard the term new normal coming around, I mean, they put that on the front page of magazines like in October of 2001. So the first time I ever heard the term new normal was in like a post 9/11 thing. So then when they started saying new normal this time, it made, I hate the term as well because nothing normal about it.
Right.
And since there is nothing normal about it, when will the stickers come up? And so I decided to take initiative, and symbolic initiative, because I knew obviously they're going to put the stickers back on the floor, but by making a viral video calling on people to take a stand, to draw the line, that now is the time. These were all the things that motivated me. I feel it's better for me to, it's in my incentive to take initiative now as opposed to being reactive later.
Well, so you mentioned that the initial reaction was harsh.
Yeah.
And then the support came after.
Yeah.
How are you finding it now?
Well, so I did the Scrape for Truth viral video. It was harsh. And it went to, you know, it went out to the world, and we have a small YouTube channel where I posted a few other pieces of content. So I went to the local library, and I used the reference of 2 + 2 = 4, which
Right.
is the George Orwell reference. And I invited someone who I met, I believe, because I became this infamous figure. So by becoming an infamous figure in early August, a few dozen people gravitated towards me, and then I started working with them. And so Danielle would be in that video where 2 + 2 = 4. That's not a Hugs Over Masks one. That's on the Scrape for Truth channel. Not that we have to watch it, but so I did a bit of YouTube journalism, showing people, look, this is the library. It's closed. What are the consequences to a community of having a closed library? What does that signify? Because there's a lot of people who use the library because they need to. You look for a job, or it's too hot, or like we had a society, and the library was a part of it. It's like a pillar of a community, and it's closed. So what does that say about the community? And I also did a video, walking down Queen Street, just being like, look, this building's closed and this building's closed. And I know it's been like that for years, but my point is, how are we going to make the world better if we're so hampered? It feels like there's a wet blanket on every business enterprise, on every family excursion, on every shopping trip. People are being really, really weighed down by the so-called new normal.
What's the media coverage been like? I just caught that one interview with...
Are we referring... So, I mean, like, the media coverage of the Scrape for Truth thing. So, John Law, the reporter for Niagara Falls Review, I feel treated me pretty fairly. And considering how wacky my stunt was, I think he treated me really fairly. And then that was... Then it was in Newsweek, and it was in the National Post. And the National Post didn't quite understand the quotes I gave them, because we had a long conversation late at night, and the quotes didn't translate once it got to print.
Do you record your interviews?
I tend to, but that one was a telephone interview. I didn't get the chance to. I actually find that to be really interesting to see what quotes they choose not to include.
Right.
And the observation I can make is, and I'm not sure if it's the journalist or the editor, and we can never really know. And sometimes it's the journalist because it's the editor. So they already know what not to, you know how to please your boss. So
right.
The thing that seems not to be included by the journalists that we talk to is our contention of the World Health Organization being, well, we mistrusted. Anyway, so that's sort of chapter one of this amazing adventure I've been on. Scrape for Truth, the viral video, having a bunch of people gravitate towards me, and meeting a few new people, and also inspiring people saying things like, finally a man willing to stand up. Just like so many women are so satisfied to see and excited to see someone finally do something. And I mean, I think it's because of the willingness to take unilateral action because I think it's the right thing to do. And I think that's manly. Because making decisions by consensus, I mean, I'm not against agreements and all that stuff. I'm not against that. I'm saying doing nothing until you have an agreement is weak. And so taking unilateral action, deciding, you know what, I think this is the right thing to do, and doing it, people resonate with that energy. And so a lot of people gravitated towards me. Meanwhile, completely unconnected to me, and prior to anything I'd done, is the Hugs Over Masks group. So the Hugs Over Masks group was founded by Colin McDonald and Vlad. I'm sorry, Vlad. I don't remember your last name. Colin and Vlad. I don't know their story actually about how they founded it, but they did. And over the last 20 some odd weeks, they've had weekly meetings in the park where they bring people out, and they call it a festival of life. And Hugs Over Masks is a nonpartisan movement. It's like peace, love, positivity. So they're welcoming and nice. And so they've been doing their things in St. Catharines, Montebello Park, every Sunday. And a couple Sundays ago, I guess just one week ago. What day is it today? Today's Tuesday, right? So last Sunday, I went to one of their meetings and I said, the bylaw's about to expire. On the 17th is the meeting. If we do nothing, we've done nothing. Let's do something. Cullen was like, good idea. He started the Hugs Over Masks Niagara page that night. And we started an event page. And then I had a plan to do Thursday and Saturday because I kind of know the media likes to report on things that are upcoming. So it's not as useful to say, hey guys, this happened. The media loves to say, hey guys, this is about to happen. So you give them something that just happened, which is our Thursday protest, and then they get something to talk about what's about to happen, which was our Saturday protest. So we did 30 people, 35 people on Thursday, and about 80 people or more. I mean, maybe people came and go on Saturday, with Hugs Over Masks Niagara. And so we've taken on a very specific component we're taking on on the legal layer. We could take on the cultural problem, like Scrape for Truth, peeling up the stickers. That's like a guerrilla, but that's not like classical protesting. So whereas Hugs Over Masks and what we've been doing once I guess joined Hugs Over Masks or started leading, I'm not sure what exactly happened, but I showed up with a plan. Everyone said, finally, someone with a plan. And then we've been like full steam.
What do you, have you taken account? Are you lobbying counselors? Do you know who's on your side and who might be able to affect other votes, or are you that organized, or?
I haven't been that smart.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
the House of Cards aspect of it is.
Yeah, because I got some serious concerns too. I mean,
Sure.
I've said since the beginning of this pandemic that one, it's not a pandemic anymore. Can we stop calling it one? Two, like, we've been watching our liberties go out the window since 9/11 on a bunch of different things, and
Yeah.
so then I kind of feel like it's a done deal because the majority of council, for whatever reason, science or not, no matter how much evidence they're presented with, I think they feel like it's the popular thing to do and that it makes them look good. Like they're standing for public safety or whatever. I'm not convinced that we don't look back and see major problems with wearing the mask through all this. Health problems that we might not be getting right now.
Absolutely.
That we're not that educated on. We're just still learning about the virus. We've never masked people in this capacity before. I can't wear one. I mean, it's so, like, for a number of reasons, I won't put one on. Now, if I'm working and somebody's paying me to wear it in a limited capacity, but what a pain in the ass. And I just wonder, I appreciate it, but do you think you're really going to have an effective, like, I look at it like it's a done deal. They're going to extend it and we're going to be under this thing for as long as they feel like it, because the people don't really have a voice. Call that resigned and cynical, but it's just kind of.
Well, I mean, I didn't call it resigned or cynical, but
I consider myself that, to be honest.
Sure. Well, I think I might have done nothing at all if I didn't have a newborn. But he's so innocent. And he doesn't deserve really any of the treatment he's about to receive for existing. And that includes the cultural revolution. That includes the anti-white racism. That includes the communism that, like, his future is a communist cultural revolution that's targeting him because of who he is. And that motivated me to break through my complacency, my personal complacency. Because if I do nothing, then I fail as a father, and if I do something, I might succeed as a father. So then I had to do something in order to
at least you could
have a
say you
chance.
tried. You didn't sit back and just let it
Right.
go over. And that's hey, I know exactly where you are. I've been there in politics and thought, you know what, I might be able to make a difference, and then look back and going, well, that didn't go the way I had planned it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's almost like, it's not a regret, but you're like, you know, that's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're concerned about your employability, being seen as a shit disturber, for lack of a better term, I love anything that brings awareness to an issue. And that's, I don't have the science on masks. I've just seen enough. And personally, like, my lungs don't operate with a mask on. Like, chronic lung problems all the time. And, you know, I'm looking for.
Did you go through it in,
I haven't
in
gone,
April and March when it was first, like?
Did I go through what?
Like, did you try?
What, a mask?
Mm-hmm.
I can't. No, there's no way.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I wore one the other
tried,
night for the first time. There's no way I can do a mask on my face.
So we definitely tried, and we felt horrible. I felt physically and emotionally horrible.
Yeah, and see, that's not. We're not calculating
and then I just stayed
into
home.
The impact of not seeing facial expressions with your daily interactions. Like, you know what?
So
if you hid your facial expressions from your son, he'd turn out to be a psychopath.
Science.
Yeah.
They love science. Use the science. Well, what about the science of nonverbal cues? What about the science of us being social creatures? What are the consequences? Science isn't a bludgeon to use to exact agendas, and in the media and from a certain set of the public and politicians, science is used as if it's gospel.
Well, facts matter.
Yes. So, facts over fear, right? That is the name of our campaign this week. And so when I designed my plan to have a protest on Thursday and Friday, I also planned to have a protest at the media, because I knew that, look, if you go to CKTB, whatever it is, .com or iHeartRadio, CKTB.
Well, it's a horrible platform, dude. Their app sucks, and the platform is horribly clunky. But no,
it is clunky. Those 30
I'll just stay on your Facebook page. But anyways, on 610, what, the media or the interview?
No, the point I'm making is that when one visits their page, what they experience is the top banner is COVID story after 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 COVID story. Should I go on? And COVID story after COVID story after COVID story.
Well, isn't that standard
85,
with just about everyone in the
85?
business now? That's all they're doing is using...
what happened with the whole business? So COVID is their cash cow. It's their bread and butter. If
7 new cases in
if
Niagara.
people stopped being afraid of COVID, why would they keep reading their papers and listening? So I mean, like, it's in their interests to maintain their audience's expectations. And so there's this, the audience expects something, so they deliver it. CKTB got purchased twice, 3 times?
Yeah.
At least?
Yeah, it's Bell now.
So it got purchased now by Bell Media, which is owned by BCE, Bell Corporate Empire or something. So imagine a telecom company has incentives. They have incentives, right? They're a corporation, so a high-speed internet, sitting at home, like, what are their incentives what kind of society do they want to have to make more money? I'm just saying that the telecom companies might have an incentive to have a Zoom-based society, because you're going to need your high-speed internet. Like, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm saying that there's just incentives. I'm saying that these corporate incentives. So take someone like Matt Holmes, who called us knuckleheads. Us being the Hugs Over Mask protesters. And there's a recording on our Hugs Over Masks Niagara page of Matt Holmes a little further down, but it's all right. Of him calling us knuckleheads and siding with the 4-week pause. So I'm not sure what his editorial role is. He's just a host, but he's a host who had a particular opinion, and his opinion was to side with the 4-week pause while calling us knuckleheads. And I started thinking, well, a lot of times people like me or people from down the rabbit hole come back up the rabbit hole, and they say things which sound crazy. They say, especially to people like this, where you'll accuse this guy of, was he taking orders from the Smoky Man and the conspiracy? Is he having his strings being pulled? I don't think so. I don't think most people in these corporate worlds are having their strings being pulled explicitly. I think that the only reason they have the position they have is because they don't need to have their strings being pulled, because they already understand the psychological profile they need to have to be in that position. So that's why the mainstream media seems to operate as it does, in my view. I don't know what you think. You're a media, very, very media focused, media savvy person. You have your experience in it as well.
I guess more a critic than anything, and it's so easy for me because I just come by it naturally, and that's, I really struggle with staying positive because I see something wrong, I make fun of it, and the people that are taking part in it,
right?
It's comedy, you know, it's ridicule, and it comes from a place of love because I care. The problem is, for me lately, is my politics have changed a little bit, and I'm all about liberties, free speech.
Right.
Like absolutely nothing gets done if you can't say fire in a crowded theater. I get, there needs to be a fire to say it. And I get that, it's not cool to cause a riot for no reason, and that should be, you should be penalized for that, even criminally, but nobody's going to stop you from doing it. And then the mandatory speech thing came up. You can't make me say certain words. Just, and so that's what because I believe that this talking is how we learn. If I say something incorrect, you correct me, or you offer evidence why maybe I should be more flexible on that position.
Out of your mouth.
And I've seen it in myself. I've changed positions on so many major issues since I've aged and had I don't know, I got red pilled. Okay. So I know it's a popular term these days, but I'm still kind of a lefty for social issues and stuff like that, but don't screw with my speech. Right. And that's number one, because I believe that if we can't speaking is how we think. It's how we test our ideas and opinions on people. Right. And we find support or we find ridicule or criticism. And that's without that. And that's why I'm a free speech absolutist, if that's what you call it. There's nothing that I get that you can make certain speech illegal. I'm against it. I say, let them say whatever they want so we know who the idiots are.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Let them expose themselves. Yep. So that's been my and then part of the red pilling is really becoming awake to the nonstop mainstream media narrative bashing of false narratives. These are lies they're perpetuating every day, and it my heart is breaking. My heart's breaking for the riots, and certain people get a pass. I said on my show last night, how is Nick Cannon still employed? If that black man, if anybody else said those things, canceled forever. And I saw him on one of the biggest shows on TV the other day hosting. I'm like, I thought he'd be done. I just assumed he was done forever, but no.
I actually had never heard he existed before.
So, and then I experienced it with John Law. Always has been very fair with me, but usually the stuff he reports on is kind of like an upbeat piece anyways. It's a promo piece of, maybe an event I was doing or whatever. Yeah. Grant LaFleche back in the day had beers with the guy. I wouldn't have considered him a friend, but we were friendly.
Sure.
He would cover me. Well, and back in the day, it was Matthew Van Dodgen, very good reporter. I wouldn't say sympathetic or supportive, but like I was an entertaining guy. I know how to.
This is in your role
Green
as
Party.
a Green Party advocate or candidate?
Candidate.
Right.
And so I don't know who wrote the article, but there is a standard article of, if the election was based on this vote, it's the Jim Fannon Show type of thing. Like because I'm entertaining and I have some fun and I bring facts. And since I've red pilled, and now
what year was that? Or do you have?
I started in '93, so and then it was '93, '03, '06, '08. I don't know.
Oh,
what my last one was, maybe 12. It was under Elizabeth May again, and
sorry, no. My question was your red pill.
Yeah, over the last 4 or 5 years, I would say slowly.
Yeah. So like from safe space through trigger warnings, through white privilege, through check your privilege, through
pay
Jordan
gap,
Peterson,
all those
through,
false narratives busted.
And now it's J.K. Rowling as a turf. And,
yeah. And so then I got my John calls the other day because I said some unkind things about a local regional councilor who's playing a key role in this. All of a sudden she comes out of 6 months of 6 weeks of Twitter hibernation to say, well, the only people that are, that are presenting are the anti-mask people. Now she's drumming up. So, okay, I guess, but and that's a whole different issue. What I went off on, but I recorded my interview with John Law. I've never made it public. I've never let anyone. In fact, I've never listened to it.
Yeah,
I should listen to it because what they put in the paper. I mean, they cherry picked. I said what they put in the paper. Maybe not exactly.
Yeah.
But, and I don't take any of it back, but it was so, like I said a lot of things in that 15-minute interview with John Law. Number one is like, I like Laura. Like all kinds of stuff that didn't make the paper.
Right.
The fact that I had a couple drinks, the fact that I wasn't taking it back, and the fact that I said I just let my shit fly and I'm not sorry and I don't take it back, that stuff all made. So I really got this time, and I've been taken out of context, misquoted several times, and and that's why I record my interviews now. But it's a new day, is how the media sees me when I do make that. I mean, I'm not trying to make the media. People think I'm just
I'm trying to figure out if
looking for
the
attention.
media did us a favor, if we did the media a favor with this protest thing.
Both. No, they love the story.
They love it.
But they also love to talk down to you and call you knuckleheads and saying you're activists and radicals and extremists and all this kind of stuff.
Social medias. So
why isn't the media fighting for free speech? At the very least, you'd think journalists would have the number one thing is free speech, but no, they curtail it at every corner. It baffles my mind.
What do you mean by that in this case?
I just mean anyone's speech that's being curtailed, you'd think the media would be, no, we don't stand for that, because they are. I mean, if you don't have free speech in media.
Yeah, I mean, we've been misrepresented, and the smear that they did with us was, so what happened was on Thursday, we had our protest going, and we had actually wasn't even a protest yet. We literally had just gotten there, and we were just standing around, and the reporter and the photographer showed up, and then when I got home, I learned that someone had said something threatening to the photographer. So the photographer was acting a little bit spooky, but that's how photographers act, like off in the corner, being like, which is obviously I completely support. We literally invited them, but some person who at the time was a member said, if you take my picture, I'll smash your camera. And then so she reaches in her pocket, pulls out her phone, and tweets it right away. And that's the only thing she tweeted in 5 days. So it's like, she didn't even give us a chance to represent ourselves. She let an outlier, the literally 0.000%, like 1% of the experience of the entire day, and she let that represent us. And she didn't even give it time to see, well, what else will happen in 15 minutes. So she had her mind made up about us. And so the first bad thing that happened, straight to Twitter, 35 retweets. And then you have Grant LaFleche and Ray Spiteri and Alan Benner and John. I don't think John did. But anyway, they're all retweeting it as if it proves something. As if, oh, look, the anti-maskers are the hugs over masks, facts over fear, love over fear, such a hypocrisy. well, that is a complete smear. And they ran it as the Niagara Daily's editorial. We're not even going to touch the fact that a group that uses the hashtag love over fear then had one of their members threaten us to smash their camera. I told them that member was excluded from our group. So I'm calling upon the Niagara Dailies to retract that, because they're not a member. The facts are facts. They claimed a member did a thing. We kicked them out, and they know that, and they didn't acknowledge that. And I think that's completely unethical. That is completely unethical for the Niagara Daily's editorial. They know full well we kicked that person out of the group. And if you want, we can just... They're going to take the softest little... Like, it's a bad thing that happened, but it wasn't burning down a building. It wasn't burning down a Wendy's. It was mostly peaceful protest. We're in the era of mostly peaceful protests. So we have a media which will run cover and justify all sorts of terror because they believe in the cause. But then they'll, on the other side, if they don't believe in the cause, they'll find the tiniest little thing and then smear it all over the place. And that's just one little example. The one that we experienced this week with what we've been up to. So on Thursday's the vote for Niagara Region to extend the mask bylaw. Did you know, you might know, we didn't know until yesterday that it's by 7 months. It's until April 1st, 2021. Which they announced through the Niagara Region Facebook page yesterday evening, as they called for more people to submit their opinions. They're asking for people to submit their opinions after the deadline, which we got 5 delegates in before the deadline. So I know the game, and last week said, hey everyone, sign up, and they did. So we had 5 delegates against the bylaw. And so Laura Ip on Matt Holmes, was it, yesterday morning, said, you know, we do listen to our delegates, which is why we needed to bring some more people with a different opinion in. So she, mobilized her Twitter base and used the media to reach out, and they had a laughably disturbing conversation.
Oh, she laughed all the way through it.
I don't know. Laughing.
I don't know what is so funny about this.
This isn't actually that funny.
No. Well, I mean, I called her one time. She's supposed to.
Is that a word? Smuggery? The being smug is very. It's just like, take us seriously. We are real people. We have real concerns.
I want to say that it's a nervous habit on air because I can hear her breathing. I know it's not natural for her. I know she's amped up. I know she's passionate. I know she cares. I know all that kind of stuff. I can hear that she's nervous. Well, so I want to pass it off to, it's a nervous giggle, but it just, she's like, I don't know.
It was about.
It's not funny.
No, I mean, especially because.
But she's a feminist.
Don't you wish that the government above us would make the decisions for us? And Matt Holmes said, they're telling the kids how to be, but not the adults. And I stop and I say, no, we tell the government how to be. The government doesn't tell us how to be. So he wants the government to tell.
How can this all be normal and supportive? How can people listen to this and go, wait a second? All right. They want to mandatory mask us until next April. Like,
why not May?
How are people so eager to fall in line?
You got me on camera
for just
7 more months.
How are they so eager to fall in line like sheep and just like, I haven't done the in-depth research on the science of masks. Okay, I know if I have a beard like yours, the mask you're wearing pretty much does nothing. Those paper masks. I know that you shouldn't touch the masks.
Yeah.
Like, everyone I see that's wearing a mask is touching it all the time.
That's right.
The guy that tried to get me to wear a mask at the market, who's belligerent, who followed me around, and I had to get rude with him, and then finally left me alone. Went over and stood with the security guard and pointed at me and stuff like this. He was holding the face of the mask while he was giving it to me. Like,
That's absurd.
Like, I know,
That is
and I
absurd.
just so, and for the risk, for the recovery rate, there's like, I've done a lot of research on the virus.
Yeah.
Not masks. I just know that it makes me feel like shit
Yeah.
if I ever put something like that on. Like, I've tried to wear masks for other reasons. I won't get into that. You know, like, I just don't like coverings on my face if I
Yeah.
can help it. And,
Absolutely.
you know, obstructing your breathing. And then, you know, you read into the science of the bacteria that forms and how often you have to wash them or dispose of them. Like,
Right.
these masks are disposable. You wear them once, you put them in the garbage.
Yeah. So I was
No
down
one's
at
wearing their
Clifton
masks
Hill
like
earlier
that.
today. I went down to Clifton Hill and we had a very small demonstration. A handful of us were there. And I went town crier on Clifton Hill. So I'm loud. I was loud, and I was saying, masks are to be worn above the nose, not on the chin. You're sweating into your mask. You're collecting skin, which is decaying. Masks are to be thrown out after 90 minutes. If your mask is dirty, don't use it. Just on and on, because people are walking around like they've got a beard, a mask beard, like they've got that thing that's worse for you. That's scientifically worse for you. I'm just weighing in onto the conversation because I happen to be aware of that by now. But and it was, I was also there saying 7 months, you know, just April, and a lot of people were kind of into it. They're like, oh yeah, keep it going. So I start being satirical. I'm like, masks forever, you know? And the other side, vote no, and that's for the vote. So Jim Diodati said that he was against that he supported rescinding Niagara Region's state of emergency, and that was in the media. And you know, so here's my view, and maybe you give me some insights on this, but I think that the St. Catharines cabal loves to throw Niagara Falls under the bus. And so I noticed that over the last 4 weeks before the mask thing. So what happened in the news the week of the mask vote? Well, Mayor Bilsma had to answer for being an anti-feminist, anti-identitarian, right? Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And why? Because he was anti-mask. Not directly, but maybe if the only anti-mask voice in the region can be thrown under the bus for also being a racist, isn't that a bonus? That's typical.
Yeah, it's typical
That's
tactics.
typical. So then also, and so to get back into my point about the St. Catharines cabal throwing Niagara Falls under the bus, and that's just a way of putting it, you know. But they posted this. Someone posted this video of Clifton Hill where there was a ton of people hanging out and having a good time at Clifton Hill. And then the radio station and the local media picked it up, and you know, it was barely a viral video, but they declared it a viral video, and they pumped it every half hour. And this is before the vote, to initiate the mask bylaw. And so what I'm saying is it's part of the manufacturing of consent. The Clifton Hill video became a story like, oh, look, Niagara Falls is so irresponsible. This is where the next outbreak is going to come from. And so Mayor Jim voted yes to the bylaw, but it was just for 2 months. And now our 2 months are up, and they're saying 7 months. They're saying April 1st of all days.
What do you think? Do you have a sense of who is against it currently?
I'm not actually an expert on who even the counselors are.
You're all activist, no politics.
Oh, yeah, I'm fair.
You got to get political. You got to get behind the scenes and start lobbying these guys to get some votes.
That's true. I was like that at Brock too, with the student council. I'd never really tried to work them one by one.
Mm-hmm.
I was always a high level symbolic message guy, and then I didn't really. Once in a while, there were like a couple counselors where you try to develop a relationship with and an inside track with and so forth. Yeah, I was doing that Brock stuff for about 4 years. I mean, actually more like 7, but 4 years of going to council. And the student media never goes to council. And in fact, the truth is they weren't even filming their own council meetings until I started filming them back in 2013.
Region?
No, I'm talking about the Brock. Just briefly.
Oh, okay.
And it's like my training ground. It was like my kid camp for what I guess we have to deal with now with the region. And for years, people were like, "Why don't you take on the region?" I was like, "No, I'm dealing with this," and I dealt with it long enough until they banned me for the second time. But that's the thing. I took a photo of a counselor, and the counselor said, "Please delete that photo," and I said, "No," and he said, "Well, cancel the meeting, call security." It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. And so that kind of was part of my radicalization process, or giving up on a different mode of being. So I'm a journalist. I went to school for journalism, graduated from journalism. I went to marketing. I was in marketing. I tried to play it real clean too, to make a difference at Brock. Be as polite as possible, be as accurate as possible, be as fair as possible. Just obviously I failed in certain categories at certain times and didn't succeed all the time, but I did put in my best foot forward. And by 2019, when I did my last round of Brock University Gadfly, it was my best version of myself, and I still got banned. So for taking a photo, and then nobody cared in the entire region. I don't blame them though. I mean, at the time it was Christmas, and then Iran, Trump bombed someone in Iran, and then Iran airplane, and then you remember it was 2020. So I don't blame no one for caring that I got banned from a student council, but symbolically, on a micro level, we're talking about the next generation. They are corporatists, bureaucrats, and someone like me going in there and pointing out correctly their corruption. Corruption may be a little hard way of putting it. Let's call it insufficiencies in fulfilling their mandates as an organization. And it's not piddly. It's not just symbolic. It's millions of dollars that come out of students' pockets every year in a fake democracy. Vote now, but only like 15% vote, and they never put in a real effort to ask, because the media, it's a microcosm. So what happened at Brock in a microcosm is happening in the world in a larger cosm, a larger view.
Oh, good. You brought some water. I was going to say, I didn't even offer you water.
I got my coffee. You got a comfortable chair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And then the last meeting of Brock University Students Union of Student Council before the new normal, before Zoom and everything else, before the very last meeting was, I walked into that room after being banned. And they said, you're not welcome back. And I said, you can't. What do you mean? It's a public meeting. You're doing public business. I'm going to sit there. Maybe I can't talk. Okay, but I'm going to sit there. And they're like, nope. So I sat down, and they canceled the meeting and they ran away. And instead, because they told me they'd call security. And I said, go right ahead. And then they didn't, because they knew that would probably play right into my hands. And then they ran off, and that was the last BUSAC meeting I ever. The last meeting ended with them running away from me and laughing at them. And then I was done. That was it. That's the end of the old Gadfly. And then baby time. And look, I have a business, or I would have a business if the world hadn't gone to shit. And that was Axiometric Games. I make making mobile games. Mm-hmm. So I have like a Tetris-like game with triangles, and I have a puzzle games and stuff. I make Unity games. I'm a programmer. And in January, my friend from high school invested thousands of dollars in that business. So I had a bit of a opportunity, a bit of time. So while all of this 2020 stuff was happening, I was trying to put my life together, and then having a baby and so forth. But the riots, and the friends justifying the riots was 45 days of my life of fighting. We're talking, what was it, from May 26th until whenever the fuck we gave up on talking about it. The hell we went through. I unfriended everyone I could get my hands on because I'm done with being the unfriended one. Because no. They're justifying the violence. They're out. I'm done with saying, please accept me. No, I don't accept you. And so I cut out tons of people by June. And then on and on. So I went through a bit of a conditioning process where I became more invulnerable because everything that could be taken from me socially, emotionally, and psychologically perhaps already had been. Obviously, I remain to have vulnerabilities, but I no longer had the friends that I would lose if I spoke up. And then by the time August rolled around, it was like, I don't want to be friends with anyone in this world. All I want to do is what I have to do. So like what I'm saying is by cutting off all of the dead weight, I was able to become more in the direction of what I think, we've been manifesting over the last 40 days. And so since pulling up stickers, it's like the feeling of being disempowered is gone. And now I'm an active participant in my world for once, finally. And for once, I'm championing something that other people actually care about. So I spent, 6-7 years championing Brock stuff? And I had 1 or 2 people every few months being like, oh, great job. Okay, well, this is like, I've never been part of something that had so much energy that I make media, I talk about this and that. How often does it get shares? How often do people actually want to come out to events? So this is a very special moment for me and for these people who are participating in this group, Hugs Over Masks. And really the danger is, how are they going to feel on Friday when the foregone conclusion is concluded? The danger is, how do you leave it a movement through failure? How do you not break their hearts when you gave them hope? Well, being prepared, I guess. I don't know. I mean, just being like, not being attached to the results, I think is the best advice I can give myself and the other people. Ultimately, if council goes along with this, it's just rendering themselves more and more irrelevant to us. It's just being like, it's more egg on the face.
Well, I hear you, and I share your frustration. And my mother, if she was here, would tell a guy like you or a guy like me, you know what? Who cares? Who cares who's mayor? Who cares if they do really? And I care, And I'm just continually surprised by the amount of people. I saw a girl with a mask on in the lake the other day.
Was it nice? Did it have a nice floral pattern?
No, it wasn't nice at all. It was one of those cheap blue masks. And I see them out walking alone on the sidewalk down the street. Why would you ever? You're going for fresh air.
Right.
Your body already has a filter, and it works fine.
Why would you ever, indeed?
No, well, so
there are questions.
I see them in their cars, and I'm so judgmental. I'm trying to get over it, but like, I really feel like, some data coming out right now that the infections are spiking in the areas where the mandatory masks have been implemented. I'm not saying it's directly related, but it might be correlated somehow.
That they say, how much worse would it be if there weren't masks?
We could have done. Okay, here's my take on the whole thing.
That's what they actually say. They say, "Oh, there's only 300 cases if you didn't have masks."
Oh yeah, that's such
we'd
bullshit.
Be in spike.
Here's the thing: we could have accomplished what we accomplished without shutting the economy down, without bankrupting people, without driving people to suicide and alcohol abuse, by just social distancing. Wash your hands. You know, I heard, you know how you hear something, you don't know, and it becomes part of your fact base, but you don't know where to find it, and you know, you try and research and whatever.
Right.
So I don't know how credible this is, and I'm not saying that it's fact.
You're pulling it out of the gut.
No, yeah, it's something I've always known, that if you are in an elevator, you know, with someone that's got a cold and is coughing and sneezing and hacking and whatever, as long as you're not standing underneath them or in front of them where it can goes into your eyes, or you don't touch anything that they touch, there's almost 0% chance you get the common cold from an aerosol infection.
In an elevator.
Yeah, because the droplets drop so fast. I don't know the exact, but I've always, I don't know where, and I'm not saying it's science, but it was just like one of those things, like, dude, like you have to touch something. And that's, you know, everyone's missing this.
A tiny
the major
transmission, and then
the contagion of this virus is all through contact.
Right.
Like, I don't know what the percentages are, but the minority, the vast minority of the infections are aerosol.
Right.
They've got us worried that you're going to walk by someone on the street and get COVID because you know how unlikely that is? And we bought it. You know, when we launched the website, the first t-shirt's going to be, "We've been duped." I was there one time.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Black Lives Matter meant until I looked into it. And I'm like, wait, what's the stats say? Oh, well, the stats say it's all bullshit. It's a lie. It's, you know?
Right.
And so it's just so frustrating because, you know, we thought we knew what we were doing. We're learning. Yeah, there's going to be some bumps in the road. I don't know why we didn't halt traffic from China immediately in Canada. And I thought we'd pay a significant price we still haven't. They did in the States. Yeah, they let the nationals back in. I know it was a limited travel ban, but they weren't, you know, they weren't having any Chinese that weren't American citizens come home.
I actually thought it was reverse psychology. I thought that Canada did nothing so that the people would, out of rebellion, demand it. So, because now everyone has become control me, keep me safe, you know, I'll wear the mask and so on and so forth. I think it's part of the reverse psychology of the public coming to ask for it. To ask for...
I don't want to believe that this is a test.
Isn't everything?
For jamming more for stealing more of our liberties. Oh, well, that mask thing went no problem. Look at how fast we got almost 100% buy-in from the public. What? When's the government done anything 80? With your liberties where everyone bought in immediately? No question. No science, no evidence, no research, no nothing. Just, yeah, we think they can't. Well, it's better to be safe than sorry. You know, the least harm. It's going to cause you less harm by wearing a mask. And don't forget, you're protecting other people. So if you don't wear a mask, you don't care about other people.
Yeah, the gaslighting is unfortunate. Because there is this impression that there's a monopoly on empathy, and that's been wielded by the left in every context that the left can get its hands on. So, and it's to be expected in a way now that it's so commonplace. You find any reason to lord over each other and go for it, you know. And which is why I admired, you know, the approach that Hugs Over Masks was taking, which is not to be sort of berating the alternative view or the official view, but to be nice about it, and that's, you know, that's good. I'm a fairly diplomatic person, actually. I found that most times that I'm non-diplomatic, it's shooting myself in the foot, and so I end up being like, you know, in a bar or in a smoke break and we're having a conversation, you know, off the record, I might go down like the deepest, craziest rabbit hole. But when I'm in an advocacy position, you know, I think I'm a fairly diplomatic person I'm just trying to express the point of view with authenticity, being myself, and yet speaking as clearly and effectively to the issues that they're on the table. The new normal.
What's next for you?
Well, I'm gonna have a little bit of a baby vacation after this. I hope that.
No, I mean, what's next leading up to the when is it? Thursday?
The movement.
Yeah.
You asked about me.
No.
The movement.
Come on.
Yeah, we're doing tomorrow. We're taking on the media. As I knew the media wouldn't be too fond of us in our position, and that actually there's no point advocating to the public until you humiliate the media. The public is under the media spell. The media, and I say the media, it's an easy way to say it, but it's just there's the way it is. In Niagara region, that's CKTB News Talk. That's the Niagara Dailies. And so we're going tomorrow morning at 11:30. We're going to be outside of the White House of Rock, and we'll have a couple new signs saying, no smears, or I don't know. It's up to the people what to say. I expect a few dozen people actually for tomorrow morning, because there seems to be a lot of we want to take on they want to take on the media, and they want to take on St. Catharines City Hall. So we're walking from the White House of Rock to the Standard to City Hall, and then we're gonna hang out in St. Catharines downtown in the evening. I guess advocating, talking to people, getting into arguments, constructive arguments, dodging insults, the usual. That's what we're doing tomorrow. And then Thursday we'll be at the region. I was thinking of walking around the region 7 times. One for each month of the new mass.
Is that some hex or some witchcraft?
Jericho. You know the story of Jericho?
No.
Do you know
yeah.
the story
Okay.
of
Yeah.
Jericho,
Of
right?
course.
So,
yeah.
So that's. And that's also 7 months. So I was thinking of walking around Niagara region 7 times.
He's getting biblical.
So, I mean, I don't expect many people. People are really, really dispirited. The media really beat them up this week. The media did a real number on us over the weekend. We got a lot of ink. Did you know that they printed a story that says no one has been charged in mask bylaw? And then I had to tell them that, well, there is one person, and it's me. And they're like, oh, do you have any proof? So I sent proof, and they're like, oh, we'll write a correction. And it had a little correction on page 1 in the corner on Monday. But on Saturday, it was like, no one has been charged. So I guess people across Niagara think no one has been charged in the bylaw.
No, but you weren't charged for mass, though. You're charged for mischief.
Both.
Oh, they got. Oh, okay, they
Both. The punitive charge for the mask.
Oh, okay. I only thought that you got mischief, and that didn't cover them.
I mean, nobody suggested. Like,
so what's the mask?
People.
What's the mask charge called specifically?
It's called an infraction of the facial covering bylaw.
And it is officially a bylaw. It's not a mandate.
It's a bylaw. It's
okay. I didn't think they could do a bylaw that quickly.
2020-46.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's the name of the number of the bylaw, if I recall correctly. And then the one to extend it is 2064, and extend it. I mean, they announced how long they're going to extend it yesterday. So Laura Ip was on Matt Holmes in the morning, and no one said for 7 months.
Wow.
They just said, "Oh, we got to extend it. It's the right thing to do." Like,
well, everyone would assume that you're extending it for the same term of the original deal.
Yeah,
which was
that's
what?
An incorrect
3 months?
assumption, I guess. It was 2 months.
2 months.
And it was 2 days after it went into effect that I pulled up the stickers. I pulled up the stickers in direct opposition.
And
which is why I got
mean,
charged
if you look at the infection and death curve,
yeah.
Why, like, of all times, why now?
Right. Well,
and is anyone going to give the
hard to explain
potential consideration to the fact that numbers are climbing? This is not my area of expertise, but could it be, is there a correlation there? Is a partial, I'm not saying it's the reason. I think we're going to see spikes. Everyone says the second wave is undeniable. It's coming.
Well, they've done a really terrible job of preparing us for it. I mean, one of the points I make in the press release I sent was, if we don't trust the experts, that's their fault, not ours. If we don't trust the experts, it's because of their agenda, not ours. We don't have an agenda by distrusting them. We don't distrust them because of an agenda or because of our personal failure. The experts who've been communicating to the public over the last 8 months, I guess it's been now, have been entirely inconsistent. And they're giving us a bleak and hopeless future, both immediately and long term. One of the things I was shouting sarcastically today at Clifton Hill was, Christmas is canceled, Easter's canceled, right? That's church is canceled. I didn't grow up being particular. I grew up religious, then I went atheist, and then I came back to decide, you know what, sort of Jordan Peterson, like, listen to him a lot. Yeah, I'll be like, all right, you know, there's a really good foundational, it's good for society to have Christian values. Whether or not there's
why would you ever want to say that? You know, that's incredibly racist and intolerant of me to say. And
right.
You know, Jordan Peterson, why would you ever want to better yourself through you know, psychoanalysis and, you know, lectures given by an extremely bright what's his clinical psychologist?
Yeah,
like, the dude is bright.
Yes,
and he's only. The only thing he wants to bring is responsibility. That's why everyone's, you know, especially young men, have been so drawn to him, because he's like, clean up your room, take responsibility for your life. Stop doing the things you know you should stop doing. Start doing some of the things you know you should start doing. Yeah. It's simple. Yeah. You know, down the road, the exponential growth and development that you'll have if you just improve the compound interest of improving your life 0.5% a day, right? You know, over 30, 90 days, 3 years, you won't even recognize your life. Like, and, you know, I hate to, you know, I'm targeting Laura. Yeah, but I mean, she, you know, I get in trouble for calling her names. Sure. She called one of the brightest thinkers. Whether you like his, most people that carve on Jordan Peterson haven't listened to his stuff.
Sure.
They take a little thing that he said about, you know, women or, you know, gender or something like this, and then they perpetuate that. And I've listened to all his stuff. I mean, all of it.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Several times. Yeah. And the stuff that you get from, and here's the other thing.
What did she call him?
Are you going to use a moron? She tweeted, you're a moron. Now, she didn't say fucking moron. She just didn't say Jesus fucking Christ. But the thing, and you know what? Here's the thing. I used to be friendly with Laura. Like, when I go back in my text messages, I keep everything. Like, I've got this on my iPhone. I've got my first text message that I've sent anyone, I think, down there somewhere. Like, my file is huge. And I started going through our text messages, and I'm going, what the hell? We went out a few times. We were very friendly. Worked on campaigns and anti-campaigns together. You know what changed? My politics.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you can't be friends. And then he makes fun of someone. And so the Jesus fucking Christ posts that she is an atheist as an elected counselor, which I find disrespectful to all religions. Because if you're gonna trash a single religion.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The Christian. That's what it all came from.
Is that the context of the?
Yeah. I said, why do you hate Christians so much? We built your fucking society, and then I called her that DFC. And it was funny. I mean, it's a bit. I'm having a blast. I'm doing a bit. Like, I mean, you're going to get into.
Or are you going to get canceled?
And, you know, I made fun of the crying counselors the other day when they were talking about, I don't know, the Social Justice Party. And they're like, Kelly Edgar, I'm fucking ripping them. And the other one, I don't know, the ginger from, I'm like, see, this is why women shouldn't be in politics. It's funny. Like, if you can't take it, get out.
Right.
You know, so yeah, that's where it all came from. But, you know, it didn't, you know, and I'm a Christian guy. I'm not offended by that. But I think you're not taking Muhammad's name in vain. I wonder why.
Right.
You know what the backlash would be if you said something about Allah or something. Right. But Christians are fair game.
Sure.
Where'd the tweets go? They evaporated. Oh. I asked her 4 years to take the tweet 4 years ago to take the tweets down. No, and as an elected politician, it just came to a head. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
How can an elected politician have this taken public and not be censored for it?
How does a regional councilor become elected?
Well, like she did. I don't know. Well,
how does a regional councilor become unelected?
Well, I don't know.
See, the Niagara Dailies ran this 3-part series this last month called Her Story or Her Side or something like that.
Oh.
Where they're like, the women in local politics are being abused and mistreated.
Oh, for fuck's sakes!
And like,
you know
all right,
what?
that's probably you can find a lot of examples of that
I
being
love
true.
women, but
No.
they're not victims. And I'm not going to say,
No,
you know
but
what,
these-
you need a hand. You
These
need a man
particular
to give you a hand.
individuals- These particular individuals have radical political objectives to transform our lives. And they always have. So having people lash out at them with words just to signal that we're mad that they're trying to transform our lives. There's a reason that it's frustrating to see when someone uses their gender as a shield from accountability from their policies that are disagreeable. Okay, so I find that and that's just the virtue signal easy journalism that we're in these days, where that's the narrative. All right, fine by me. That's fine by me. I don't know. I think that there's and we should touch upon it because it is relevant. I think that if you hate Trump, you love COVID. You love the masks. You love the controls. If you love Trump or don't hate Trump, you're like, this doesn't really make much sense. So if you want a world that's led by transnational European globalists, then you love COVID. And if you want a world that's led by America, then you love Trump. And so the ideological basis is where we start from. What do you think about the world? And then you take in all the information. And so the people who are like, fuck Trump, are the people who... This has been the worst year for Trump, and it should have been the best. By January 20th, 2019, when we were watching the Covington kid get smirked at, he had won the election. By the end of 2019, Trump had won the election. Just beyond question. And then all of the 2020 stuff happened, like as if it happened naturally, organically, out of nowhere.
The same people that are falling in line with masks want to keep a shutdown in place. They want to open borders.
Right.
And they want an untested vaccine that's been rushed to the market. They all get in line with, they're all on the same page when it comes to those issues. You can't separate them. And I'm sure there's more.
Yes.
Where the intersectionality of the beliefs is not just, it doesn't just stop the mask, it goes.
Yes.
Yeah. And these people are all on the same page. And I find very few that are willing to say enough already.
What's the game in Canada, though? Like, I can almost understand why America is going through this COVID-based civil war, but why in Canada? I mean, Trump isn't going to be our president. We don't need to run a game on society to control society. To prevent
protesting
Trump from
Black
being
Lives
president.
Matter in Europe. I mean, they're rioting in
UK, of all
Montreal.
places,
Yeah.
in Ireland of all places. Right.
And
And whereas these societies are pretty good to each other relative to other societies.
Yeah, I don't know why we can't just recognize and give ourselves a little bit of credit for where we've come from and how we're doing. We're more tolerant and
Right.
understanding
No,
than
that's for
we've
sure.
ever been in society.
Yeah.
Ever.
We're standing on the shoulders
Hands
of giants.
down. Guess what? Every generation's better. Which generation can look back on the last one and go, "Oh, we're worse off than them"? Don't tell me this one does. Don't tell me any of them ever have. I just don't believe that we're getting better. But nobody wants to give us credit. We're systemically racist right through the whole RCMP, not just a
Right.
couple cops, the whole legal system.
Right.
Burn it all down.
Yes.
I don't get it. My heart breaks. My heart breaks for the riots.
I've done some reading, and I've perceived a lot of that stuff to be what you would expect out of an enemy trying to demoralize a nation. So there's a few different touchstone references to make how to demoralize the society. The Russian guy who's like, he goes through it. He's ex-KGB, and he explains how to demoralize the society. And it was like 1985. And when you listen to it, it sounds like everything we've just been through. And then also the 36 stratagems, which is a ancient Chinese strategy book. And I read that very, very closely, and I find that to be sort of very fascinating stuff. To sort of, if you look at the world we're in, and you get rid of the explicit narrative you're presented, and you look at just the phenomenon, you try to figure out what are the incentives of all the different parties involved. So that brings me to the question of why in Canada are we so like COVID-aholics? Did I just coin that?
Yeah.
I just coined that. COVID-aholics. I met a lot of them down at Clifton Hill, and I was like, why not 8 months? Why not 9 months? Why not forever? Why does it have to be? Why 7 months? I'm talking about, of course, the mask bylaw. And people are like, yeah, why not 8 months? I'm like, masks forever. Masks until the vaccine. They seem to be into it. But look, not entirely. So we're in a bit of a interesting sort of moment. It's the time of, it's the best of times and the worst of times, I'd say. I don't know. I'd say that for the listeners out there, the thing to do is like and share. I mean, to come on out. I don't want to be I'm an advocate, so I want to draw people in and have them participate in what we're doing. Ultimately, we want people to be inspired to pursue their authenticity. So, do you, do the right thing, clean your room, that sort of stuff. I'm not sure why I actually brought up I mentioned God, but I don't remember why.
Perfect. I think I might have lost the stream too. We're still recording, but it looks like Twitter and Facebook. Well, I still got a live sticker here, but I'm just going to put this up because we've been rolling hour 20 minutes. So your Hugs Over Masks on Facebook is up.
So let's close it up.
Yeah, it's time for us to take a break.
I got my baby mama waiting for us.
Cool, man.
I thought we'd be just about an hour.
Sandor, I love you, man. Thanks for doing what you do. Appreciate you coming in, taking the time to come into the show and talk about your frustration, your experience, and your treatment by the media. And I hope you get some better coverage. I don't think it'll happen. But
No, that's not going to happen. We're not going to get any coverage now.
Yeah, I'm glad to offer you a little bit of a platform anyways to come on and say the pieces that maybe don't get said other than your your Facebook page or something like that, which I appreciate.
Very cool.
I don't know why. I mean, I've been associated with controversial groups in the past, but I'm not joining that group. Are you crazy? I don't want people going, "Oh yeah, Jim Fannon, you anti."
Really?
I don't know.
Well, that's the next red pill for you, pal. The next, it'll digest.
No, I support
slowly.
you, and I call me a heartless bastard, but
well, you've
I don't think
platformed me, so that's even worse than clicking like.
What's that?
You've provided platform for my views.
Yeah,
that's
there
worse
you
than
go.
clicking like.
Yeah. So what's my problem?
Why don't you just click like? And
Join the damn
join
group.
the group and troll us.
Oh, look, there you go.
All right.
Display. Let's see. Oh no, I got access. Okay, I fucking joined. All right. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for watching, listening wherever you are, whatever platform you're on. This is where you got to go right here. Hugs Over Masks, the Niagara chapter. Sandor came in today to give me an hour and a half of his time. I appreciate it. Thank you, my brother. Good luck.
Thank you, Jim.
And we'll talk to you soon. Peace, love, and go hug your neighbor. Take your mask off. Stop being a dildo. I'm out.